I'm starting a little bit earlier than I said. I still got 5 minutes, but I just saw Terrence's message. It's because it's 7 p.m. ish in LA, West Coast time, and I just got back from court because it was in Santa Monica. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. First of all, hey y'all. Hey y'all. It's been a while since we've done a live, but that's because things have been a little bit slower, which is not a bad thing because they're going to speed up in a minute. Karen Reed is on the way, and y'all know we're going to be watching her. And I'm going to be doing recap. It's going to be intense. So, yeah, I went to Santa Monica. Santa Monica is the beach. If you haven't been to LA, let me just give you context. This beach is, this courthouse is the Santa Monica courthouse, and you guys, it is literally on the beach. And so if you know beach towns, they're always very chill. Like it just feels like everybody's just like relaxed. And so those were the vibes of the courthouse, which is very different than the courthouse downtown for like Rocky's trial. That is like intense. It's a lot of people. Everybody's moving. So this is, oh man, is it breaking up? Hey, not your name being my name. Is it breaking up? Because I will take this out. I won't use the mic if it's going to break up. I'll just talk because I think that is okay. Y'all are saying you're good. Okay. Okay. So anyway, that's a little bit of the setting for this trial. Okay. And it's been going. I saw the article. I forgot which outlet posted it because I didn't know Soulja Boy was having a trial. And I had been meaning to go, but I hadn't been able to. So I finally pulled up to the trial today. Context before we talk about it. It's a civil trial. So it is not, the consequence of this is not jail time. Okay. It is for money. It's a civil trial. And it is a woman who was his previous assistant. And she is alleging that he did a ton of things to her. And actually what she says is she worked for him. And at some point he went to jail. And when he went to jail, they got closer and started like getting to know each other more. And a relationship developed out of that. And once he got out, they're now in this relationship and he is abusive, also sexually abusive and beyond that to her. And so, and violent and all of these things. And so she is now suing him for those things. So first of all, before I pull up the document, just so we can have a little context, I only got a quick video of him. I was with Megan Cuniff today. Shout out to Megan Cuniff. I was with her today. And she was quick, fast. So she probably has a way better version, but I'll show you my very, very quick video of him at court. Hold on.
What did you do for lunch? What's up? What did you do for lunch? What's up?
So that's it. That's I'll play it one more time because it's so quick. If you blink, you miss it.
What did you do for lunch? What's up?
It is very different than the ASAP Rocky trial. First of all, it was me and Megan, and actually, I can't remember his name, but he has been there more than any of us. He's been there covering, but it's nobody there. He doesn't have any security. He walks from like a black SUV across the street and just walks in. There's not a lot of hoopla and things about it. It's very chill, very low key. I told y'all, plus the city, right? It's like very, just like everybody's like chill out vibes. So he just walks right in. This courthouse, it's very different than the downtown LA Rocky courthouse. That one is like a high-rise building. The elevators are packed. You have to rush and get in. This one is like an indoor courthouse. So like the hallway is outside. So like you go in through security, but where this courthouse is, you go through doors, and so you're outside, and so you wait for them to open the doors to get back into to go into the courtroom, but it's like an outside hallway, you guys. And a beach town is cold, so I'm just out there like. Plus, it was hot where I live in LA, but where that beach is, it's not hot. It's windy. So anyway, I'm just giving you a little bit of context for kind of what's going on. We can go through some of, I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I hate doing these live, but this is the complaint, and it is a Jane Doe. Obviously, here's the thing, right? Because I have never gone to a civil trial. So here's something very interesting. Because this is a civil trial, this is a civil trial, and she's a Jane Doe. So we see her, and they actually refer to her name in the trial, but her name has not been like publicly released. So that was just very interesting. I didn't know how that would operate, being that she's a Jane Doe. But if you're in the courtroom, you hear her name and you very much see her. So that's interesting. Let me pull up. Where's the document? Nope. Where's my document? Give me a second. Okay, so I have. Oh, do I have to like change pages like that? Oh, I see. I've never done it this way with a document. No, she's not Black. She is, she seems to be Latin. She seems to be Latin. Here's the, Danielle is asking, does she have to show in court? What's interesting is that, and this is when this case first came to my attention, she's testifying. So she started testifying last week. She is on the witness stand, giving her story. So she definitely has to show to testify. So yeah, that she's been up there. Again, I only came, today was my first day, so I missed her direct examination from her attorney. It's also very different to remember that these are not prosecutors. This is her attorney. It's a plaintiff's attorney. It's not a prosecutor. It's not a criminal trial. So remembering that as you're watching is also is interesting. So her attorneys, I missed her direct examination. Cross-examination started yesterday for her and continued on into today. So what I got to see from today was her being cross-examined by Soulja Boy's attorneys, as well as another witness, but I'll get into that. Let me just make sure. Robin, I'm about to go through what the trial is for. I'll bring that document back up, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. And then I'll talk about what happened. I ain't gonna be here all day because y'all know I don't be liking to be here all night. So I will go through kind of some of the takeaways I had, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow. Let me just make sure there's no other questions. Oh yes, if you are here, okay, like. All right, here we go. So let me take you down. Oh, worth noting. So all the causes of action here, there's negligence, sexual battery, false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligent infliction of emotional distress, gender violence, theft, hostile work environment, constructive discharge, and violation of, that's the federal employment, I think that's for employment, failure to pay minimum wage. I told you guys she was his assistant, unpaid overtime, unpaid reimbursement, waiting time penalties, so inaccurate wage statements, and unfair competition. So there are 16, well, there were, this is the other thing worth noting, 16 causes of action. But the thing to note is that apparently some of those causes of action have been dismissed. I don't know. I'm sure I'll have to research it. I don't know which ones yet. So to be clear, all of those are still not on the table. I just am not sure which ones. So I'm not going to tell you which ones. But some of them have been, because the judge mentioned that today. So I just don't know which ones. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit in this document to here. So it kind of starts with the factual allegations. On or about December 18th, the plaintiff, okay, the Jane Doe, began working for defendant Way. His name is DeAndre Way, Soulja Boy's name. So In December of 18, she started working for him. She was to act as his personal assistant. Her job responsibilities included cleaning his house, cooking and or bringing food and snacks, carrying personal belongings or his luggage, styling his hair, driving him around, handling travel itineraries, vetting guests, and any other requests that were made for him from him on a day-to-day basis. Here's the other thing. He agreed to pay her $500 a week. Okay. And she was to live and work at his house. They also give his address. And she was supposed to work, read that last sentence, 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. If I was making a recap, I would go black and gray right here. I would be like, 20 hours a day. There's only 24 hours in a day. She's working for 20 of the 24. And then she's paid $500 a week, 7 days a week. Girl, you gotta quit, honey. And that's why that failure to pay minimum wage comes in, because $500 a week wouldn't equal minimum wage if you're working 20 hours a day. Let me pull it back. Within the first month, it says that DeAndre, Soulja Boy, began to send her, Jane Doe, unsolicited pictures of his. Y'all can read that. Allegedly. Shortly after she began working with him, they had a romantic relationship also developed. Okay. So then it says, according to her, this is, let me be clear. This is a lawsuit, which means it is her version of events. This is the first lawsuit. There could be amendments. I've already told you that some of the claims have been dismissed. So this was the first version of what she says happened. Obviously, a trial, this stuff kind of plays out, but I'm just, for context purposes, giving you guys what the initial lawsuit was all about. So we're clear. It says defendant Way then began to act abusively and violently toward Jane Doe. These abusive acts began around January 23rd, 2019, and included numerous instances of physical violence, including kicking and throwing and punching, sexual assaults, spitting on her, and threats of violence. There's an incident from January where she says that they were driving in a vehicle. He asked her to drop him off at his mom's house. Jane Doe was under the assumption that his mom lived in Atlanta, not in LA. So she was confused. And when she asked him about that, he kicked her out of the car and she had to walk 5 miles from Beverly Hills to Hollywood. So that's one instance that she kind of details. It also says in February 2019, there was a sexual assault for the first time, and following it, he expressed remorse and gave her $1,000. That was brought up in court today. There was an instance where she said on the body cam footage, like, he's owed me $1,000. So I assume those two are connected. What else we saying? In May, she says that he violently grabbed her cell phone after she indicated that she wanted to stop working for him, and he spit on her. But she was in love with him and he would just say, I didn't mean it. So there's all these other instances, right, where she says that he inflicted bodily harm on her, saying he should have ended her life, punched her directly in the head on at least 10 occasions. At one point, making her even lose consciousness. He at one point told her she's ugly and called her bumpy face. He locked her in a room for 3 days with no hot water until she agreed not to leave him. He would inappropriately touch her. So I'm not going to go through all of them. Okay, so in August of 2020, he attacked her so hard, according to this document, that she thought she was going to not be alive. She regained consciousness outside of his home on the grass and she ran away. At this point, she moved out of his home with nothing. So she said in August, she moves out. She has nothing. About a month or two later, she comes to try to retrieve her belongings. But instead, she says when she came back to get her things, he assaulted her in a way that's more than assault. And then on December 23rd, she said she was violently attacked again after trying to get her things. And she was he prevented her from getting all of her things. She also, this kind of has to do with the money. She also says that she would be required to pay for things like his food and cell phone, groceries, and other things. And she was supposed to be reimbursed, but he just never would. He also, according to her, at some point basically said, you live with me and I gave you a car, so I don't have to pay you because like I paid you through those things. So I'm good. So that's essentially the lawsuit. And then it kind of gets into the specifics, right, of the causes of action. So that's the context. So let me pull up my laptop. I actually, one other thing, I have it somewhere. Oh, I think I can send both of these to this computer. So a few things that came up, and again, I'm a little hesitant to do this, but I just want to give full context because today was my first day. I obviously don't have the full context of everything that's been happening and building up, right, in this trial. Sorry. So some of these things I'm kind of piecing together. So understand that. Let me pull up what I just sent to myself. Give me a second. And if you hear my kids, you know how it goes. I'm not a lawyer, but I am a mama. Okay, I got that. And then let me pull up one more thing. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to start with, an officer, I should see which officer, if it was the one on the stand. An officer gave a declaration. And in this declaration, there are pictures of what she says are some of the injuries. This is your warning. These are not graphic. They're pictures of a person obviously injured. Let me be very clear. They're not graphic where you're not going to see like an open wound, but I just want to give the heads up in case you're like, I'm tapping out. You can do that. But I will show just a couple because I don't want to focus on that. But the point, reason I'm bringing it up is because apparently, and I haven't been there, but apparently even yesterday and like most of her testimony has included pictures and text messages regarding this. So apparently there was some text messages where she is saying to either his manager or people connected to him that she wants him to stop. She wishes he wouldn't do that, like that kind of stuff. And then there's also these pictures. So understand that is the context in which I am saying this, not to like just exploit this woman. But and some of them, so this is an officer who, I'm a digital forensic. Oh, it's not an officer. It's a digital forensics and cybersecurity expert with extensive experience in image analysis and authentication. So what this person was look at the pictures that she sent to authenticate, to authenticate them. So she's saying, I prepared, it's not I don't know if it's a she or he, but this person prepared an initial expert witness declaration in the matter of Jane Doe versus DeAndre Cortez Way, obviously Soulja Boy. Based on the following, I am temporarily suspending my initial opinions. Let me just keep going. Actually, I should read that further because the way this ends is based on the new evidence produced by plaintiff's counsel and the deficiencies in the Cellbrite report, I am unable to provide an opinion regarding the new evidence produced by plaintiff without the information identified above. So whatever he was looking at, he's saying he don't have enough information to talk about it. It's interesting. Oh, so what he was saying initially, I guess, is that based on the forensic analysis, the plaintiff's deposition and the body cam, the images appear to be authentic and unaltered. So he seems like initially hired to say that these pictures are unaltered. However, the use of a third-party application strongly suggests that the images analyzed were reformatted version than their original files. Timeline, date of time, found in all images, chain of custody. Okay. Well, anyway, here's what I was trying to get to. So there are, let me get off her face so you don't see. I don't want to show her face. Okay, I'm not going to do too much because I don't want to be exposing this lady. Let me take it down. But you saw this. It says he kicks me. Okay. Let's not put her information out there. That's not what I meant to do. I mean, her face was kind of covered, and these are public documents. Let me say that. But out of respect, obviously, that's never my goal. Anyway, the point was I wanted you guys to see some of the injuries and some of the things that are being introduced. Now, okay. So now I wanted to get into, how long have I been here? 21 minutes. Now I wanted to get into this witness list thing. So quickly, if you see here, it says party calling witness, the 1, 2, 3rd column. You'll see that DeAndre Way on line like number 7, DeAndre Way, who is Soulja Boy, is the defendant's witness, and he's on the witness list to be called by the defendant there by his side, right? Apparently, again, I'm not a lawyer and this is my first civil. Apparently, because Soulja Boy was listed as a witness by the defense, the plaintiff can also call him before the defense even puts on their case in chief. So right now we are still in the plaintiff's case in chief. They are still putting across their story. They want to call Soulja Boy, the plaintiff. So it's called an adverse witness, but they want to call him. And there was some back and forth about the fact that that's unfair. The defense doesn't want him to be called, this whole thing. And it seems the way that we ended today, that the judge, he said at one point, I don't like adverse witnesses. I don't like blah, blah, blah. However, based on the law, the case law, I think that was provided, it seems like he can be called. So apparently Soulja Boy might be on the stand tomorrow. And he will first be, his direct examination will be done by the, I keep wanting to say prosecution, by the plaintiff. The judge did, because they were raising such a stink about it, right? The judge did tell the defense that on cross, he won't be bound to only the things that the plaintiff's side brought up in direct. He won't be bound by that. Typically, right, for cross-examination, you can only address things that were brought up on direct. But the judge was saying, I won't hold you to that. He can be brought up by the plaintiff, but on cross, when you examine him, you don't have to stick to those things. Of course, the plaintiffs will then get redirect and they can then address that as well. But yeah, that could happen tomorrow. He could be put on the stand. The day ended with her still on the stand, and still on recross. Yeah, she was on recross. But he could be put on the stand tomorrow. So I'm going back to see how that goes. What was the other thing I wanted to say? Hold on. Oh, I wanted to just mention quickly about the jury. There's one Black woman on this jury, and there were 6 men. And I'm talking about all of the jurors plus the alt. So we're talking about 16 people here, okay? Because I haven't been able to look at the chairs to see which ones are the alt and which ones are the deliberating jurors. But of the 16, there's 6 men, which means 10 women. And 3 of the men are older. And I'm not even being funny, shady, any of that. They're older men. They seem like they want to be at home rocking in a chair on a porch older. So it's an interesting mix of jurors for sure. There are, so it'll be interesting. Again, this is not a criminal trial, so he will not go to jail after this. The results of this are money. So she is suing him, and if he is found liable, not guilty in this sense, right? Civil trial would be liable. If you're found liable, he would have to pay her. So that is what's being weighed. The other thing to consider in a civil trial is that the burden is much lower, right? We know in criminal trial, it's beyond reasonable doubt. In civil trial, it's more likely than not. That probably happened, right? You can't be in a criminal trial talking about he probably did it. Yes, don't work like that. In a civil trial, you can say he probably did it, and that's enough to cross the line. So the burden is much lower. Actually, here's the other bit. I got there at 10:30 because that's what time the trial was supposed to start. And they let us in the courtroom, and the judge told the jurors, like, sorry, there was an issue with the juror this morning, so come back at 1:30. So I got there at 10:30, drove all the way to Santa Monica, and they didn't start for another 3 hours. So I chilled me and Megan Cuniff had lunch. We talked about all the trials that we're covering and interested in. And then we came back to the courtroom, and it started at 1:30. And it started with an officer. So they interrupted the plaintiff's testimony, who's been on the stand for the last 2-3 days. They interrupted her testimony and had an officer testify. This officer was called to the scene during December of 2020, I think it was. There was an incident at his house. Yeah, December 3rd, 2020. There's an incident at his house. And this officer, his name is Officer Dent, is called to the stand. Called to the house, and he gets on the stand and testifies about this. He had body cam footage that was played. This body cam is her in the back seat, and he is asking her basically what happened. And so the audio was really, really bad, but that's what we were able to hear today. And I hate sometimes saying stuff because I don't want you guys to take what I'm saying differently than I intend. What I will say is that over the course of the body cam footage being played, at the end, the officer said, it seems like she was downplaying what happened. The more we talked, it seems like she was downplaying what happened. That's what the officer said. Now I'm going to tell you what was said on the body cam. The officer says, if he forced himself on you and had sex with you, that would be rape. Is that what he did? And then the woman says, no. And then the officer says, that's not what he did. And she says, no. And then there's some more talking. Again, a little bit hard to hear. They're still talking. He's kind of like explaining to her, based off of what she's saying happened, he's kind of explaining to her how this fits where. And so she's mentioning like, well, I love him. And so the officer says, if you are married and your partner forces you to engage in sex and you don't want to, you can still be raped in a marriage. So the love part doesn't matter. There can still be forcing happening. And so he says, so he was forcing you to have sex when you didn't want to. And she says, I was in love with him, but the last couple times he would beat me up and then start having sex with me. And that was kind of weird. So then this conversation continues, and they're still kind of having this back and forth. And he says, clearly, honestly, you didn't want to have sex with, it's obvious you didn't want to. And then she says, I wasn't ready to, and then she kind of trails off. So you really can't hear. So anyway, I would be very curious to hear from the jurors how they took that, because she very clearly was saying no. But of course, the officer also, from his own interpretation of the conversation, felt like she was downplaying it. So it was just very interesting. Again, I haven't seen the text messages either. I haven't seen some of the stuff. So I don't know what other kind of setup was done prior to this moment. Okay. I think, at some point, this is this last thing. At some point, Soldier Boy's attorneys say to her, um, when they were having this kind of back and forth argument, her and Soldier Boy, didn't you tell him you were going to hit him with a $5 million lawsuit? And she says, yeah, that's why I'm here. She kind of trails off and he's like, what? And she's like, that's what we're doing here, right? It's a lawsuit. So it was a kind of like interesting moment. But what you get out of the conversation and the questions that his attorneys are asking is that they're saying that this is the motive for this lawsuit is a breakup and she's scorned, basically. Because at one point, his attorneys bring up the fact that she told a friend, I think. Let me find it. I think she told a friend or she told someone that she was trying to fix it with Soulja Boy. She wanted to save the relationship. And she was like, yeah, I did. And earlier that day, he had assaulted her. And she still was saying, I want to fix this. I want to, be with him. I don't want to break up with him. So the attorney was also just poking a lot of holes in her story. Like, you said this, but then you said this, right? And you said the security guard came in the house, but now you're saying the security guard never came in the house. So which is it? So it's a lot of, those kind of things happening. What I also will say, I mean this, I'm not a lawyer, so I want to be very respectful of lawyers. This trial, not only is the courthouse very kind of chill, like low key, the attorneys are also very okay. I was in there like, y'all gotta pick up the speed, pick up the pace, pick up the pace, pick up the pace. They were moving very slowly. This is if this was streamed, y'all would probably turn it off. Y'all would turn it off because it is moving slow. And it was my first day, and I still felt like that. So yeah, it's a bit of a slow moving trial. Apparently, it's supposed to go into the second, but at the end of the day, the judge was like, he said, "Yo, y'all, I'm getting concerned about the pace of this. We need it to pick it up." Like the judge was saying that. He was like, "We're gonna have the jurors are gonna revolt if this goes any longer. Please, like, pick it up." So apparently, it's been. I read the room correctly because the judge said that at the very end. It was a very the pacing is slow. So I'm going back tomorrow because the other bit of information regarding this is that tomorrow there's a hearing at the same courthouse and in the same courtroom for the Jay-Z Tony Busby defamation case. So how about, if you don't know, Jay-Z is suing Tony Busby for defamation, right? And some other things. The judge that's over Soulja Boy's case is also over Jay-Z, Tony Busby case. So I have to get there early before 10:30 because before Soulja Boy's case starts, the judge is going to have a hearing for Tony Busby, Jay-Z, where some of the causes of action. So he's suing for defamation and he's suing for some maybe is it extortion? I can't remember off the top of my head, but though the judge might have those dismissed because remember after Jay-Z filed the lawsuit, Tony Busby's team attorneys came back and said that the case should be dismissed, blah, blah, blah. The judge basically told Jay-Z's attorneys, I don't know, a month ago or so, if you guys don't provide more information basically to substantiate these claims, I'm going to dismiss it. So tomorrow is the pickup of that. So I'm going to go early, drive all that way to be in the courtroom for that hearing with that same judge. And then when that's over, we're going to go into Soulja Boy and we'll see if he gets on the stand. No, Jay-Z is tomorrow. If I said Thursday, that was incorrect. Jay-Z is tomorrow. Jay-Z is tomorrow. Yeah. And it's not streamed. I think Soulja Boy is not streamed because of the nature of, this is what Megan Cuniff was saying. I was talking to her about it and she was like, it's probably the nature of the allegations and what we're dealing with, the sexual assault, obviously, and the fact that she's a Jane Doe and all that. And so I saw a outlet when I was like looking in the files, an outlet asked to record and stream, but the judge denied it. So no, I don't expect Jay to be there. I also don't expect Busby to be there. I expect attorneys for both to be there. So maybe Spiro, or maybe he'll dial in or Zoom. I'm sure he has an office full of people who can be on the call for him since he's so busy. But yeah, it's supposed to be attorneys for them, not them in the courtroom. So yeah, that's, I will, Soulja Boy's entire team is Black. He has I think this guy is the lead attorney, and he is great. Let me move on. He has the Black guy, and then it's two Black guys, and then there is a Black woman who's also on his side. And then the plaintiff side is like a mix of people. I don't recognize, although I think Megan was saying that the plaintiff's attorneys, they have names that are familiar. I just don't know them, or I'm not familiar. Maybe I should Google them. But yeah, I think the trial started last week, like Monday or Tuesday, started last week. So we are a good weekend, and it's supposed to go until next Wednesday. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, like 2.5, almost 3 weeks. Yeah. Was I getting sleepy in there? I brought some snacks, candy. And I was actually doing work, so no. No, it's not the lead attorney. Sorry, let me be clear. It's not the lead attorney. I'm just saying his lead attorney. People can file lawsuits as a Jane or John Doe. They can do that, and then request that their identity remain anonymous, as we saw in the Jay-Z case. Or actually, I don't think he asked. Yeah. And just like in some of the Diddy cases, what'll happen is usually the defendants are like, you want to accuse me of a crime, your name should be out. And so there are a number of reasons as to why a plaintiff can remain anonymous. One of them in particular that just immediately comes to mind, and based off of this, is if it is claims of like sexual assault, sexual crimes, that can be a reason for a plaintiff to be allowed to remain anonymous. So that can be one. Also, if there is a threat or concern about that person's safety or well-being, or the safety and well-being of their family, that is another reason that a judge can say, yes, this person can remain anonymous. So it's stuff like that, where they could ask. Those are like the two immediate ones that come to mind that are like most typically granted. All right, I think that was it. Look at me, I did 38 minutes. Hello. I think that's all. Also, let me just say this. You know what? I think it's more about like public, right? And so they call her name in court, but I'm not gonna go look her up. And if I saw her in the streets, I probably wouldn't recognize her, if I'm being honest. But I think it's just for like the public who would go online, or, like look up a court filing or something like that. My husband is being loud. I was going to say something else. I forgot. Okay, I think the last thing I will say quickly, if you follow me on TikTok and you saw my video, when I got to court this morning, I was so frustrated because there has been a page on TikTok that has been stealing my content. And the page had 11,000 followers. And one of my videos that they stole had over 100,000 views, and other ones were very close to it, like 75. They were stealing my stuff. Oh, that's the other thing I'll say about Megan Cunha. Anyway, I was so frustrated because I had been complaining to TikTok, asking them to do like, this person is impersonating me, like they're stealing my content, and the videos are going viral to the point people are now, and it's my old videos, like my very first ever I'm Not a Lawyer, but they stole that video and posted it. So people were hitting me up like, yo, what's the update? And I'm like, bro, that case is 3 years old. But I like, there hasn't been it just hasn't been an update. And he got off, like there was no update. So anyway, I made a video when I got to court this morning because I was so frustrated, and asked people to mass report them. I also reached out to my contact at TikTok and said, like, please help me. I want you to know, by the time I left court today, that page is down. They pulled it down. And so if you were one of those people who helped report that page, mass report that page for me, I am so grateful, because the page is down. I had to delete my video because I'm like, I can't leave it up because people are trying to go search it to go report it, and it's down. So anyway, I just had to say thank you if you helped. I appreciate it. Okay, and then the last thing I will say quickly, because like I said, I went to lunch with Megan Cunit, and when we got back, we were waiting outside for Soulja Boy to come back into the courthouse. That's where I got that video from. So court was supposed to start at 1:30, and I told you I was cold. At 1:22, I was like, we're going to go inside, Megan. It's cold. And she was like, let's give them 3 minutes. And so there was, across the street is the black SUV. So Megan says, if I was Soulja Boy, I'd be in that black SUV hitting the blunt until the very last moment, till I had to come into this courtroom and deal with this case. And I'm like, ha, ha, ha. And then I would say 30 seconds later, Soulja Boy gets out of the car. I get the video that I played. And as he's going through security, we're kind of like a little bit after him. And the court officer says, what did she say? She says, I just want y'all to know that's not me. Like, it's clearly him. It's not me. And so everybody's laughing, and they're like, somebody says, California sober. So I crack up because I'm like, oh, duh, California's weed's legal here. Like, that's the joke. So I'm laughing. And so she's like, no, that's for real. That's a real thing. It's called California sober. And I was like, oh. So when I tell you that man's like weed, it was so hilarious because Megan literally said it. He came in, and then that whole situation happened. And I was like, he was in the car getting it down before he came in. Yeah, I get it. So anyway, if you have never heard California sober, you're welcome. Taught you something. Yeah. So, and maybe I'll do a live with Megan tomorrow. If you need to, maybe we'll do that. Okay. I think that's all. I will be back tomorrow. Maybe we'll do a joint situation to spill the tea. And I'm so green. I'm not a one of the people I just named. I've done it before. I don't like the feeling. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. Hello, Mel. Quick question. Any updates on Yak? I believe he's supposed to have a hearing next month, meaning April. He is still incarcerated today, right now. But I believe he's supposed to have a hearing soon. And it would be a bond one. So that's the latest. He's not out. He is still incarcerated. Oh, apparently Demi Lovato has a song called California Sober that I've never heard. Yes, this is the description of it. Yeah, they are doing Yak dirty, that whole situation. I did watch Karen Reed today. I was headed to court, and I watched the judge interrupt Brennan, when he was trying to make the argument for when he was requesting the communications between Karen Reed and her effing lawyer, saying that it's not privilege, it's not attorney-client privilege anymore, because she talked about it on the documentary. Yes, I'm aware. And I appreciated when she interrupted him and said, thank you, no. Thank you. Next. I appreciated that, because what a time. If that would have been granted, what a time. So anyway, yeah, I watched that. I am counting down for that trial to start. I'm counting down for that trial to start. Oh, it was Alessi? Oh, so it was Alessi. Okay, my bad. My bad. Yeah, it was a hearing. It was the last the final pre-trial conference. Also, can I tell you guys something? See, look, now I'm just up here talking. That's what I'll be liking to do. But I'm gonna tell you this. If you are tracking a trial, right? Okay, so for a civil case, it's going to start with a lawsuit. You know that after a lawsuit, there's going to be a response. You know that there's probably going to be some back and forth, right? Everybody, if you sue me, my first thing I'm going to do is ask for it to be dismissed. That's going to be typical, right? I'm going to tell all the reasons that should fall flat on its face. And then if things survive, right, the dismissal, and it keeps going, then it's going to be some back and forth. Now, okay, I got a motion because I motion in limine. I won't. All of this shouldn't be allowed in. All this evidentiary, get it out of here, right? So that's going to happen next, right? Then at some point we're going to talk about witnesses, right? Witness list and experts and who you going to call and who you going to call, who your expert, and then your expert ain't even qualified. Well, my expert is qualified, more qualified than your qualified, right? So that's all going to happen too, right? So it's a time frame. What you should know is that whether we talking civil or criminal, I believe civil, but I'm going to say yes. First of all, there's going to be it's time. Right? Stuff don't be happening quick in the judicial system. Stuff takes time. And there is typically a final pre-trial conference. The reason that it's called final pre-trial conference is because it's the final one. Pre-trial, meaning before the trial starts, for us to talk. I say that to say today is, from my understanding, the final pre-trial conference of Karen Reed. I bring that up because in the Isaiah Harris case, there was a lot of people spreading misinformation that the trial was going to start March 3rd. And when I tell you there hadn't been a single motion in limine, there hadn't been a single witness, there had been not even a first pretrial conference. They didn't talk about a single thing. People were like, we had the thing we saw, my brain is leaving me. We saw that, and now it's the trial. That's never going to happen. So just know that. Don't let people gas you and tell you wrong things. Never going to be that quick. Okay? Never. Just wanted to say that. Happily Angry Lawyer is in the build. Hello. Y'all make sure y'all follow his page as well. He posted a video that I haven't been able to watch yet. I need to sit down so I can watch it. And thanks for being here. Shout out to you. Okay, I think that's what I really wanted to say. That was very random, but I just want y'all to know that because people be spreading misinformation and it's not the truth. Don't believe that. Something that quick, not gonna happen. Okay, I don't see nothing else. I think I answered everything right. Gaston got a new job. Shout out to you. Hey, how's it going? Who's lying? A lot of people. It's just what happens. Oh, yes. If you are in the Patreon, I'm going to do a book giveaway. Sorry, I need to do that. I have Richard Gabriel, who is the jury consultant for A$AP Rocky's case. He did the Casey Anthony case, actually, which is interesting. He worked on O.J. Simpson's civil case. He has been on my podcast. He wrote a book. I have an extra. Well, not even an extra. I bought one so that I could give it away. I bought two, one for me, one to give away. So I'm going to do that in the Patreon. And I think that's all. Make sure y'all like the live. I'm going to do another live tomorrow after I get back from court. It probably be around this time. I'll do a live tomorrow. So look out for that. The fashions were not fashion. I mean, he wore all black. Let me be honest. He wore all black. It was nothing. To end, I'm going to play my 3-second clip of Soulja Boy walking in after lunch. Merch is on the way. I don't have the book with me, but just know my YSL notebooks that have a bunch of hilarious quotes from the trial, and then the pages on the inside are filled with quotes from the trial as well. those are on the way. I just need them to come. And then I have a second notebook that'll be available that has quotes from the Karen Reed trial, quotes from some of the other trials that I've covered. They're coming. Okay. And if you're in Patreon, you know, you get first dibs. Last time they played me, they didn't play me, they supported me like crazy and sold me out. But those are coming. They're fun. And if you were into the YSL trial, it's something that is just fun to have. So just know that those are coming. All right, here we go. Thank you. Thank you. Patreon be knowing. Mention merch. It's coming. I also have I'm Not a Lawyer But t-shirts, sold out of that. So they're coming. Yes. The very last one is That's the Last Time You Gonna Call Me a Hoe. Here we go. Let me play this and then we leave it. Oops. Enjoy this last clip of Soulja.
What'd you do for lunch? What's up?
There you go. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to get better footage tomorrow. I'll get a real video, not that quick one. So I'll be back tomorrow. You guys have a great night. Thanks for being here. Like it, subscribe if you're not. All right. Bye, y'all. Bye, bye. Because I ain't no lie, baby. If you're in my Patreon, you know I love to end my lives with NSYNC. Okay, bye.